Hey, She Slayers, and welcome to another episode of She Slays the Day podcast. I am your host, Dr. Lauren Brunswick. And if you join us on YouTube, you will see that every time I come on to do these intros, I'm always like reminded, like, oh, yeah, that's right. They can see me. And I'm like wiping last night's or yesterday's mascara off from under my eye. I thought going into podcasting meant I didn't have to look cute. Okay. So, what do we have? There's quite a few quick updates we're going to give you. All right, I'm going to run through them. I will not drag it out. Um, Cairo WealthCon, October 18th, 19th. Early bird is gone. I'm sorry, you missed it, but I don't know what to tell you. Tickets are still super affordable. And you can click that link below. VIP is getting kind of close-ish to being gone. I know we haven't released many details yet, like kind of like none. So all of you who have bought tickets, I mean, most people who bought tickets on early bird, they were just like, I don't know anything about this event except you guys. I'm here for it. Sounds good. We're going to start releasing speakers. The value set of that VIP is going to be there. I can just promise you it's not going to be in a swag bag. It is in the 2 lunches and who we have set up to talking to those. So if you're on the fence, you're not going to regret it. I promise you. If after the event you were like, nah, talk to me and we'll get it sorted out. Because I can pretty much guarantee you're not going to be in a situation where you regret that you did that. Other things, okay, we've got those 2 new courses out from specifically She Slays. So one is the Launch Pad, which is a longer, more in-depth course. Those are 45-minute trainings, and there's like 13 or 14 of them. You know, somebody should know that. Like somebody who's trying to sell their course should know exactly how many. But listen, it's on the landing page. You can count them. There's a bunch of them. And that one's for more in depth for someone, a chiropractor who has started their practice. Either they're new, they're bored, they need more. They need more. They want to level up their skills. They want to level up their practice. That is there for you. And that is $9.97. Or we just have the Growth Lab, which is shorter, 20-minute long. Again, 12, 13, or 14, one of those numbers, trainings on internal, digital, and what's the other one? Oh, external, like in-person external marketing in your community. That's really nice. It's $297, so like super cheap. And that's nice because if you are looking to level up your skills and you're hoping to delegate off to a CA or an associate, and you want to get them just their head starting to wrap around marketing, that's a great thing that they could do. Also, I just know in talking and coaching with Kairos, I spend kind of a crazy amount of time. So on one-on-one coaching, I charge $1,000 an hour. Well, it's more like 1250 actually. But and it's crazy how much time we still end up talking about marketing. And so now what I'm doing with my one-on-one clients who want to talk about bringing in new patients and those ideal candidates is I'm like, listen, don't have me spend 40 minutes talking to you. Just buy that course. It like ends up being cheaper. So we're there. Now, I will say that the marketing, the Growth Lab is not a social media exclusive thing. So if you are looking for a social, like more specifically social media training, I would check out Molly Cahill. She's got an ad somewhere in this podcast. Like listen to it because you get a discount. And that is a fantastic resource if you're looking to do your own social media easily or send that to someone else. Okay, so I think that is all of the updates I really have for you. I will say, in lieu of a single listener highlight today, which if you ever want to be the listener highlight, go and write a review on either wherever you're listening. Most of you listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. But I'm going to give one kind of shout out to my Instagram following. Earlier this week, I shared something on stories. If you missed it, I'm not really going to go like much into the details, but I was really mourning something personal that I've been dealing with this whole year and haven't really shared about. If you go back and play detective in episodes, you'll be like, oh, that's what that comment was. If you're like bored and have nothing better to do with your life. But I've dropped little hints that I've been like kind of processing. loss of a friend. She didn't die. We broke up. I was the one being dumped, and it was just really painful. It'd been going on for months, and I just had another trigger yesterday. And I finally just shared something about how much it hurts. And I had an overwhelming, like 197 of you wrote comments back to me. And the comments were not just like sad face, broken heart emoji. Like, you guys gave me scripture. You gave me your personal stories of heartache. You shared, like, it's interesting because I've talked a lot about how this feels like a very one-way relationship. And then especially with like social media where it's like, those aren't real friends. They don't even know you. And that's like kind of what gets in your head or got in my head when I was losing a in real life friend of like, sure, all these people follow me and say they love She Slays, but like they're not real people who care about me. And like it was it was very touching. Like, honestly, I'm not an emotional person, and I am still just, like, processing how many of you said such kind things. And I hope that if I said something back to you, like, because I was in my DMs a lot, writing back, that, you saw that, like, yep, you're not alone and we're going through this together. And, if you didn't see the story and you're like, hey, yeah, I'm losing it, it's a really common thing. I learned it's a very, very common thing for adult friendships to move on. And I also learned that be it whether you are the person being dumped or the person doing the dumping, it seems heartbreaking on the person doing the dumping also. I thought it was just gonna be the person being dumped like me, but nope, no. So either way, on with the show. Okay. So today we have on you're gonna see me really being curious and trying to figure out what the hell somatic therapy is. So I have Layla El Khadri on, and she's an artist, muse, and feminine leadership mentor. She knows how to get you to access your awe inspiring magnetism, and she has over a decade of experience guiding women to express their absolute highest potential and embody their magic. Now, if you have listened to any of my more woo woo episodes in the past, you know that like I am totally here for the woo woo, but like my logical brain just wants to ask all the questions that I know you want to know also. And like, I also just don't like guests just like dropping something super woo woo and moving past. And I'm like, whoa, please explain it more. So don't worry, you are definitely getting a very thorough episode today where I hope by the end we all understand this a little more. So, Layla is the founder of She Leads, which is a business that guides women to tap into their feminine power, find their unique gifts, and turn them into mission driven businesses to create a positive impact in the world. Dudes listening, though, do not worry because really we don't talk too much about the feminine aspect of that power. Today we're really talking about more that somatic therapy and what that looks like. She talks about how she goes into like executive boardrooms and things like that. And I'm like, okay, that's got to be bizarre for that. She has over 10 years of experience as a mentor, degree in filmmaking, master in somatic therapy. Her passion for personal transformation has taken her all over the world studying, mastering, and distilling the most potent tools and techniques for self empowerment. The art Layla has created has touched millions of women across the globe, inspiring them to grow, connect in sisterhood, and to grow their lives and businesses. The art Layla has created has touched millions of women across the globe, inspiring. Wait, that's just written twice in her bio, and I just kept reading it because if you know me, I don't prep for these. So like whatever comes out, and I'm just reading the bio as we go. So that's the end of her bio. So let's take a breath. This is definitely one where we're going to need our brains and our hearts open. God, this week I am praying for the emotional trauma of relationships ending. And no matter whether you are a child or an adult, whether you were the one laying down the boundaries or the one having the boundaries laid down to you, um, this is a trauma. This is this will bring up feelings of abandonment, rejection, and we are wired as humans to seek acceptance. Um, on an evolutionary state, like, I mean, I'm telling you, God, like, talk about preaching to the choir. So I've heard you wired us to want to fit in because that's how we survive. Like, that's how we survive is to be a part of a tribe. And when we think about it simply like that, then it can just be hurtful. But like, as I was reminded from so many of God, like, we are each growing. And some of us are aware that we need, in order for us to get to that next level, some people are very aware that they need to be the one to lay down the boundary and say, this relationship's not working for me anymore. And I'm really proud of them. But God, you know my heart, and I hang on to things a little too long. I just don't tend, and like, God, you've had to work specifically with me of getting the other people to do the difficult thing. Um, and so I'm here for that lesson. And I am here to walk through that gateway as a leader of what I need to level up. And I encourage everyone listening, whichever side they fall on, one, just to know that you are so not alone. There is nothing wrong with you. There is such a bigger picture at work here. So to let go of any shame that you might be feeling, of rejection, of what is wrong with you or this or that, and let go of that narrative. I know that's not easy, but like, I'm doing it too, and we can do this together. And to let us, as we learn about somatic therapy today, to try and just release that trauma and continue to do the work of being a human, because sometimes this just feels like, what are we doing this for? Like, this is just a roller coaster of pain for no reason and seeking joy and pleasure. But God, your approval and your bigger picture is the only thing that matters. And apparently, you have big plans for each and every one of us, no matter which side of the boundaries we find ourselves on. So let us just continue to trust in you. It's difficult. It's very difficult. It would just be easier if I took control, I think. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm actually not, but I'm getting closer. All right. In your name we pray. Amen. All right, people, here is my conversation with Layla El Khadri on somatic therapy and how it can make us all better humans, leaders, relationships, etc. Enjoy. So, how you are currently in Bali, you
Mhm.
have another base in Ibiza. I'm in northern Wisconsin, so equally as cool, just so we're all in agreement. How like, Layla, how did you get into like, what's your journey into somatic therapy, and how did you, like, get to this point where you're, like, doing podcasts for chiropractors?
This is amazing because the body keeps the score. It's
That's a
one
good
of
book,
the
yep.
great, it's one of the greatest truths of human consciousness and human evolution. And so as a coach, as a mentor, and as a teacher, and as a thought leader, I've spent 15 years finding the shortcut to helping people connect with their power, helping people connect with their genius, helping people activate and embody their highest potential. And in that exploration of what is the fastest way to turn on people, I found that that is through somatics, is through the body, is through the intelligence of our physical vehicle. And I studied somatic therapy in the United States, actually in San Francisco with Anna Halprin over 10 years ago. And I started developing my coaching and mentorship practice always based in the body. So whether I was creating programs for empowerment, I was creating programs for relationships, for women to find their purpose, to connect with their sexuality. And later on, I went into business and I helped women step into their leadership and find their voice and build their businesses. My powerful tool for every single step of the journey, for every single reprogramming of patterns and habits, for any addiction, anything I needed to help someone shift, I went to the body. And I went to find the score that the body was keeping for every specific part of life. And so my peer agency found you, and they thought it was really interesting that what you are doing and what chiropractors do is release the blocks in the body that prevent us from getting to the places that we wanted to get.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the idea because as a somatic therapist, with the awareness that I have over how our bodies not only keep the score, but also like carry memories from generations before us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every time I need to clear a block in my life, I go to my body. And I am also a dancer. When I went into studying somatic therapy, I was coming from dance therapy as well. And I move my body and I create patterns of movements that allow me to release the blocks in different parts of the body. But there is places and there's moments that I can't do by myself. And then I go to either a chiropractor, I have an amazing one here, and he's also craniosacral.
I was going to ask because like craniosacral, I've been to a craniosacral class and like there is like they call it unwinding or but like that makes sense. So within chiropractic, we will, a lot of times the most common phrasing is like that your nervous system there's three different, we call it the three T's, like traumas, thoughts, toxins. Oh gosh, people just added a fourth one. I think, is it technology? I don't know. My audience is probably screaming at me, but like there's like 4T that just recently got added, but we'll go with the original three. When the book, who's that book by? I wrote it down. Bessel van der Kolk is The Body Keeps the Score. But like when you're talking about the body keeping the score, is this what you're talking about? Like these traumas?
So the body is what we are in this incarnation. Whether you believe you have a soul and what is before and what is after is for everybody's taste.
So you're saying the body is not just the meat sack, it's the body, the consciousness, and the soul?
Everything happens in the body.
Right.
Everything in this, the moment the body stops breathing, this game is over, right? Do we
Mhm.
agree on that?
Yes. So like you're
So
talking about the physical body.
exactly. But in the human experience, everything happens in the body. Consciousness is embodied.
Mhm.
Thoughts are in the body. Thoughts are experienced in the body. There's no way to separate a thought from a body reaction. Furthermore, your body experiences based on your consciousness. Look at this example, very simple example. Somebody gives you a call and tell you, God forbid, your dog just died. Your body experiences the shock of the reality of your dog dead.
Mhm.
Whether that was true or it was a joke or a prank,
The
your
shitty
body
joke.
does not tell the difference. It's a shit joke.
Right.
Your body does not know the difference. Your body only experiences based on your thought. You thought the dog died, your body experiences that level of shock.
Mhm. So does it with someone, because so like you said 15 years ago, you started working with somatic therapy. Prior to that,
Mhm.
were you only working with cognitive therapy? Is that what we would call that? Is that what?
Well, you can call it behavioral cognitive therapy.
Okay.
Um, the answer is before that, I was coming. So I went to college for audiovisual communication, a little bit for a different term, right?
Mhm.
I was though in acting school simultaneously. It's my frame of work of mind back then when I was a very young adult was I want to have the biggest impact I can in the world because I became very aware at a really early age that this world needed some fixing. And I was coming from a family of really conscious parents. So I had already like a motivation to have an impact in the world.
Mhm.
So I thought I'll do it through stories. And I became aware that the narrative that the media feeds us is what controls our reality. So I
Yeah.
thought, okay, I'll get into media and I learn how to tell stories. Simultaneously, I got into acting school, so I would be able to tell the stories both sides of the camera. And in acting school, I had my first contact with movement therapy because we studied Feldenkrais, which is a school of movement that I'm sure your audience is familiar with. And through the process of Feldenkrais, I realized that
Feldenkrais?
Feldenkrais,
No, I don't.
yeah, it's basically the study of the evolutional um, of the evolution of the human being
Okay.
from the perspective of, so how does a toddler start activating his body? What are the first movements that a baby does? What are the first parts of our body that we get in control? And then how we start rolling, and then how from rolling we go into our
Oh,
legs. So it's this, that is the developmental patterns of movement
okay.
and
It
the
does seem like
partial.
something chiropractors should be aware of. Yep, yep. Okay,
I,
yeah. I think I just didn't know the name.
I think it's very interesting because it helps you have a reference between the evolution of movement and the evolution of consciousness in an individual.
Mhm.
And that sparked my curiosity, and I started, investigating. And that's how I ended up studying somatic therapy, movement based, with Anna Alprin in San Francisco.
Okay. So I feel and then like do you know anything about EMDR?
Yes.
Okay. So how does that, because it's like eye movement, is that like a branch in between, like a step in the direction of somatic therapy? Is that like something and like under the umbrella of somatic therapy, completely different? How would you like correlate that in?
Any therapy that you do through your body, through your soma, is somatic therapy.
So EMDR would count.
I would consider it,
I would
yeah, because
consider
under
that.
the,
I'm doing it through eyes. Okay,
yeah,
so I feel like so much of therapy and coaching completely disregards the body. Like it is all about our brain, our consciousness. How do you start to work with people and get them like because I just imagine if I was hiring you as my feminine coach for my business and you started talking to me about healing my body first. I mean, how do you overcome that hurdle mentally with people to like get them to connect the association of their body with their potential of their business?
amazing question and amazingly formulated. So, what are the three biggest blocks that you have in your business?
Oh. Oh, okay. Well, are you is this a rhetorical question? Am I not supposed to be answering this? No, you're asking
No,
me?
no, no. eh,
Okay. I would say me. I'm
mm,
definitely the biggest block.
What?
Um,
Which way?
in which way? Oh
Mhm,
shit. Well, like probably that I don't follow through as much. Like I'm a big visionary.
mhm.
But like detail oriented, following through. Like I really believe that when I tell somebody to do something, that like that should be kind of the end of it instead of needing to like follow up a week later and like make sure that it's done. So I get really annoyed with having to repeat myself. Like I just want but that is a part of leadership is showing like I didn't realize how much just holding people's hand and like accountability is still a part of leadership and I don't want to do any of that. Yeah, that's a big one. My
So,
mind's yeah.
it sounds to me like there's already two pieces. First
Okay.
one is your ability to have consistency.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because consistency is boring. Like a lot of running a business is repetitive and what I would consider boring. And I like new stuff.
I already see three.
Oh shit. All right,
Consistency
good, good. I don't have to keep thinking then.
is the first one. When you say it's boring, there is a lack of focus,
Mm,
there is distractibility. And then when you mention your clients and not wanting to like guide them by the hand, it sounds like patience.
yeah, well, you hit the
Sounds like,
nail on the head. Holy shit.
okay, so let's just call them blocks for now.
Okay.
These three blocks live in your body.
Oh. We can do that. We can get rid of them.
Well, it's not about getting rid of them. It's about finding where in the body they're programmed and shifting the programming.
They're not in my brain?
No, they are in your body.
Say more. Okay, so
The
first of all,
body
I only wrote down 2, focus and patience. What was the first one?
focus, patience, and consistency.
Yeah, wow. You really have known me for 10 minutes and pulled out probably 3 of my deepest flaws in life. Okay. Okay, so they're not in my brain.
No, they're in your body.
But isn't my personality in my brain, and isn't that part of my personality?
Your brain is the operational system.
Okay.
And mostly what your brain does is it produces a bunch of different chemicals. Let's not get too technical. It's just like a alchemical laboratory
Okay.
that sends signals to the rest of the body.
Okay.
So in order for you to be focused, you need a specific mix between dopamine, serotonin, neuroepinephrine, and adrenaline. Why? Because you need adrenaline to be present and active, but you also need dopamine to keep that presence and activeness coming.
Mhm.
And you need serotonin to have enough reward for you to want to continue doing that. That's focus. If I
That's
can
what
guide your
yeah, because 'cause I've never, like, thought about, like, what oh, how can
that's the
someone
cocktail.
oh, okay,
With
okay, yep. The so we need
glass
the
of
brain to create that formula for me to focus on something.
exactly. And how do we do that? We move the body in specific ways. So if I want your body to produce adrenaline, I'm going to give your body a pattern of movement that starts increasing, right? So you feel like you're in a movie, or you're like riding a horse, or you like driving your bike on the highway with music, right? I'm going to
Mhm.
like have a and increases. That's going to create adrenaline.
Okay.
Then I'm going to need neuroepinephrine, I think it's called.
Yep,
I'm going to
norepinephrine.
need you to have to be present, to be engaged. For what I'm going to shift the pattern of movement, just complicated enough for you to not be able to be distracted. So right now you see what I'm doing with my hands,
Yeah.
and I'm talking at the same time. It's simple enough that I can continue talking, but it's complicated enough that I don't know that I could do this and also answer someone knocking at the door, because it would be too much.
Okay. Yep.
So what I do is I use polarity left and right or up and down to create this like not too complex but very repetitive. I don't want to call them choreography. They look more like ninja movements.
Okay. Yep.
So in this sequence of movement, now your brain is producing the cocktail that we want for you to be experiencing being focused.
But you didn't create dopamine or serotonin, right?
Well, the dopamine is created because you have a reward. So when you make the movement well and you get in the flow with the music, like the
Mhm.
choreographies, the simple choreographies that we learn, they feel good, right? When you
Mhm.
finally sing. That's why people keep on doing the TikToks, millions of mini choreographers, because it feels really good for the body to have the movements. And serotonin, the moment your body is moving, you produce in endorphins. Serotonin is
Oh,
just it's like the feel good endorphins that give the reward feeling together with the rest of the cocktail is what will generate in this particular case, because we're talking focus.
okay.
If you want to go into flow, I will create a different set of movements.
When you say
And I
go into flow, what does that
so
mean to you?
So imagine that the problem with your business was that you micromanage. So you become the bottleneck of your business,
Mhm.
and your team cannot move with fluidity. You need to soften.
Mm.
You need to surrender. You need to learn to go with the flow. You need to trust. So I need to bring your body to the opposite as what I just did. With you, I brought the body to focus.
Yep.
So these practices going to look a lot like a ninja thing, like it's
Yep.
focusing. The other person that has a problem with micromanaging, I'm going to bring them to flow. So the breath patterns, the movement patterns, and the music patterns are going to be completely different and are going to bring her body to create the cocktail of chemicals that she needs and the physical sensation, the somatic awareness, speaking in technical terms, that she needs in order for her brain and her body to register simultaneously an experience. What we're doing basically is we're coding the score of her body with the thing that we're wanting her to experience. Because I can talk to your brain 7,000 hours about going with the flow. But if you don't have a registered experience, it's going to be very difficult. And if
Okay,
you
can
are,
we so you talked through the focus one. Can you talk through a little bit of the more of the specifics of the flow one?
yeah, so with the flow one, the first thing that we will do is we will get into a flow of breath.
Okay. Okay, yeah, because you didn't talk about the breath on the first one. What's the breath doing?
Because
Just whatever the breath.
this is, this practice is so multi-layered. So I actually work with 7 layers. I work with the breath, I work with movement, I work with muscles, so different parts of the body, contraction and release. I work with sound. Sound activates the parasympathetic nervous system like nothing else, and
Yeah.
is one of the fastest nervous system regulators. Sound.
Huh. I'm really like questioning whether I should be playing like 90s hip hop in my clinic now as I'm trying to like regulate nervous system. Okay.
No,
Okay.
probably not 90s hip hop, but probably you
But
could
it gets
say
me focused and having fun. Gets me in a better healing like, I am incredibly yeah, okay. Alright, we're gonna keep going because you didn't list the 7. So you said breath, music, muscles.
no, I didn't say music.
Oh, you said
I said
sound.
sound.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Inviting your patient to use their voice and their sounds as they're going through the experience will be an amazing tool. So, you know how you tell them, take a deep breath, exhale.
Mhm.
There is a 60% release if I, and a 80% release if I, ah.
Mm. So you okay. So that and that's more than just like getting more air out of your lung. It's like
So the voice, the vibration of the sound massages the vagus nerve from inside of our thoracic cage, rib
yeah.
cage, generating a vagus nerve release, which shifts the vagus nerve function from sympathetic to parasympathetic. Fastest way to regulate a nervous system if someone is going into crisis.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so this
Ah,
is reminding me of so I was at this retreat in Sedona where have you been to Sedona?
not yet, but I'm open for
Yeah,
invitations.
I mean, it's like the most hippie place in the US. Um, so I'm at a retreat there and we're doing oh, what was the kind of breathing called? I don't remember what it's called. Holotropic breathing. Have you does that term
Mhm.
mean anything to okay. Well, I had no idea what I was getting into. And so they start describing like all the stuff that's going to happen. I am not a fan of the what like I'm like my body is like literally going like, "Oh, where's the back door? I want to sneak out." I have no interest because they're talking about how you're going to lose control. Well, that's what I heard. I don't know what verb words they said, but I was just like and so one of the things they like, it was breathing and you had to be audible in your release of your breathing. And so now you're describing it. I'm like, oh, okay. I wish they would have explained why we needed to be verbal in the release and what it does for the parasympathetics. But I hated that experience because other people were being so I was in a room with 20 other people doing this breath work and they were being so verbal and it annoyed me so much and I refute like and the coach came over and was like, "Okay, be louder with your exhales." And I'm like, "Mm-mm, this is what you're getting." Like I was just like my body was just like, "I hate this. I don't want this. Those people are being annoying with their verbal releases." And it was okay, so now I'm understanding why you have to be verbal with holotropic breathing, but, hmm, 'kay, parasympathetics. sound. Great. All right. We haven't gotten through the 7. So you said breath,
Um,
sound, muscles.
then you get the mind.
Seems like an important one.
So yeah, because once you activate the body's awareness and presence, then you want to introduce the new program, the new concept through your mind. Because you are doing a practice, you're doing a movement to consciously shift a pattern, right? So in this case, for example, to consciously get into the flow or to consciously get into focus.
Mhm.
So you want to be able to consciously engage into it. When people go to yoga, they go to relax, right? And very often the teacher is asking them, visualize an empty room or release all your thoughts, or like there is a verbal guidance that works with the mind while working with the body simultaneously.
Okay.
And then the last two are a bit more conceptual. I work with the concept of community because I feel like I work in the space of leadership, right? These practices I've developed are for leaders, for people who lead their teams, their businesses, their communities, their families, or their own lives. And so we are in a paradigm where 90% of the root of our personal problems is based on the fact that we are more and more disconnected.
Mm. I think that's why the
We
4th T is technology. When I was checking, like, I think they added one, but I don't remember why. And I think that was a big part of the addition of that is it's not just like tech neck from looking at it. It's like what that is doing to our mind and essence of being disconnected.
Yeah, it's actually big piece, and it has a profound effect in our neurochemistry. We are social creatures. The only way for us to be healthy is to be in close connection. And because we are less and less connected, we are less and less able to hold eye contact, physical contact, close proximity. Our nervous systems are more and more dysregulated, and our bio and neurochemistry is really out of what it should be. We have really low levels of natural dopamine, really low levels of oxytocin. So a big part of these practices for me is community, is how do we do them together. I facilitate them in companies, I facilitate them in festivals, in retreats,
Okay, hold
online.
up, hold up, hold up, hold up. I am picturing a very large difference between what you would lead a festival through versus a boardroom.
Well, not really,
Oh,
because
well, it should be because some of those people are on mushrooms and the others are not.
that might be the only difference, and that some of them might be
Big
topless
difference,
and some
Layla.
might be.
That's a big difference. You're dealing with people in a festival who are like seeking to experience connection and like have sought this out and have like possibly taken more than mushrooms to open their mind. And then you go into a boardroom that is like very set up on alpha structure of what it takes to grow a business, deadlines. I was put here because my boss said we had an 11 o'clock training on Wednesday. So, like, how do you, and I would say I identify much more as the boardroom. Okay, I'm starting to as I'm aging. Like, I was just thinking on my run the other day that I think for my 40th birthday, which is in a couple years, I'm going to invite all of my friends to like a guided ayahuasca experience in South America. But I'm not there yet. I'm like, I'm not ready to give up control yet. So, like, talk to me how you work someone who, like, more the boardroom that's like, is it the right brain is like the critical asshole or is it the left brain? You're going to say neither of them are, but what?
Yeah, I was also going to say that that's actually, yeah, not super accurate. So
Shocking.
there is one common denominator between the crowd at the festival and the crowd at the boardroom.
Okay. What is it?
All have bodies. I don't talk to the prefrontal cortex. You come to work with me because your prefrontal cortex is fucking up your business. So if I'm sitting here talking with the same part of you that created the problem in the first place, You're just wasting your money. That's why talk therapy doesn't work.
Mhm.
I'm going to talk to your body. And all your mind needs to know is we are in a movement class. Everybody has a reference of what yoga or spinning or boxing or whatever thing you do. I am the coach, so you're following what I tell you. There is music and there's your body, and other people doing the same as you do. Nothing weird. You start making the movement, it looks a lot like a Jedi training, like a full class is doing Tai Chi together.
Mhm.
The music is awesome because I work with different DJs from all over the
Of
world.
course you
So
do,
I
because
make
one
the
of your
music
bases is in Ibiza. So cool.
in Bali. And I
And in Bali.
facilitated this.
Don't forget Bali.
The last festival I facilitated this at was Envision in Costa Rica. And I had 300 people in every workshop. I ran the workshop 2 times. 300 people in the room doing the practice. And I had an amazing DJ and a full on sound system. So energetically, that's completely going to be different than the boardroom. But the practice, the movement, the breath, the music is going to be the same. And people having a blast. You know Mind Valley? You know
No.
the
Mm.
crew. Anyways, I facilitated this in conference rooms in hotels with 600 people in a conference, everybody moving together. And I have facilitated it in a small company of 15 people, everybody moving together.
Okay. Can we go back to okay, so we talked about my 3 focus, patience, consistency, and we needed to find them in my body. Is that what we were doing?
Mhm.
How do we get how do
Mhm.
I move through that? Okay.
Well, I just told you,
Right.
you would create a pattern of actions that will produce the cocktail that you need. I cannot. I mean, I could paint a picture right now
But,
for
like, would I do
you.
that every day and then eventually my brain would get reprogrammed that I wouldn't need to do that? Or is the idea that this is something like coffee that you would do every day to get your body and brain? And but, like, okay, here's the question. You talk about, like, you're not interested in talking to the same brain that made the problem in whatever it is, business, life. So, how would you talk to my body?
I will guide it through movement. I will tell your body what to do, but I will not get into a rational debate. So if you tell me I need focus in my life, we can have a rational debate about focus. We're both going to agree that you need to focus, that it's hard for you to focus, and we might figure it out that it's hard for you to focus because of some childhood trauma. And then what? That's the end of the philosophical debate, but you still are going to be having the experience that's hard to focus. We need to make the shift in the body. This is
And
the
so
body what is creating an experience of hard to focus.
okay,
I
so
can talk to you losing weight for 7 hours, but that's not going to make you lose weight. What's going to make you lose weight is to close your mouth to certain things, to eat certain things, and to go to the gym and lift weights, right?
mhm.
Losing weight and being able to focus is the same. It's just the losing weight of the mind. But the mind lives in the body through the experience.
Okay. So it's through movement that yeah, so okay, so I get what you're saying where it's like, all right, let's say we figure out, yep, your example, like you struggle to focus because of something that happened to you or the lack of connection, like the technology and like that lack of natural dopamine. I was reading a book called The Dopamine Detox, and it just talked about how much we're seeking dopamine or like we're just getting dopamine hits through scrolling, caffeine, alcohol, TV, just like the way everything is set up. Okay, so we've got like the low dopamine there. And so it would be creating patterns. So whether we're talking about, and like, so correct me if my brain is, or maybe my body, I don't know, something is starting to try and connect the dots of like, so we would identify like, okay, we need to naturally get more dopamine in this cocktail or whatever. And so you would teach me movement patterns or things with my body through either physical touch or whatnot to naturally give it dopamine. Yes?
To naturally produce whatever it is that you need.
Right. Okay. So you said dopamine is going to come from so like feeling good that you've accomplished something. What are some ways that someone can naturally get more dopamine away from like scrolling or drinking coffee?
Get into nature.
Okay.
Easy. Just get out, get into nature. Naturally, your body is going to want to engage with the world around, and it's going to start producing not just dopamine. It is a lot. We use certain ones because we need to talk about it, right? And we're not chemist here or biologist, but it is a balance of hormones and neurotransmitters, and so the movement patterns that we create to help you embody the different qualities are activating many more things than just the dopamine.
Mhm. That makes sense. So when you're working with, let's just say, because you have She Leads, right? That is
Mhm.
that like a coaching program for female entrepreneurs or what is
So She Leads is my Facebook community,
okay.
and then I have a business program
Okay.
that is called Peak, which is for female entrepreneurs, and we have a big part of the program is supported by Somatic Therapy as well. But that program is an in-depth program to build a business and
Okay.
to step into leadership. But of course, in that program, we also are working with.
Right. So if you had to pick the number one thing that these women in your entrepreneurial program have to overcome first, like what is it?
Um, One of the biggest blocks for entrepreneurs is accessing creativity, whether it's to have ideas to write emails or to create a program or to write posts, or like, is this feeling of like we need to produce a lot. And sometimes it feels like it's dry, like it's stuck.
Mhm. There's lots of things
That's
that are
one of the ones. And the second one will be self confidence, real self confidence, which
mm,
this is what I call embodied confidence. Not just that I know I'm awesome, but
right,
then when I have to step in the mirror, I don't fucking know what to say. And I go
right,
beating around the bush, and I'm like, you sound like you don't know what you're talking about.
right.
Be embodied.
Okay, so I wanna talk about both. So what are some ways that you naturally start to get women to start tapping into their natural ability to be creative?
Have an entire practice called magnetism that activates the energy, like what I call the creative center, which is our sexual center, because it's the part of our bodies designed to create new life.
Oh, so that's why okay. So, I feel like when I've talked to, I haven't talked to anybody in somatic therapy or anything like this, but, like, anytime we're talking about female entrepreneurship, it does go towards, like, the feminine energy and creativity, and then sex gets thrown in there. And it's just like, what's up with that? So, it's because of this well, okay, I shouldn't say sex, the sexual energy gets put in there. Face, you're like, "Lauren, you are not phrasing this correctly." Um, so would you tell someone, a woman, that okay, we're gonna do PG we're tapping into the PG-13 R ratings here, so if your kids are listening. So would you say, like, that if a woman is unable to, like, find orgasm, that she will be blocked in her creativity? Like, are they, like, that linked?
No, wait, hold on a second.
Okay.
We just stepped into a goal oriented approach to sexuality, which is very masculine,
Ah,
and it's no bueno for us.
okay, well
No bueno.
then explain it. Okay, so then alright.
Take that the pressure off the orgasm. So if a woman is not connected with her pleasure
Okay.
in general, her pleasure in her body, in her mind, in her taste buds, but the greatest center of pleasure in female body is the sexual pleasure.
Okay. Okay. I get it. I get the difference.
When a woman is connected with her pleasure, she is connected with the source of her creativity. And back to our cocktail of neurochemicals, the sexual pleasure of a female body produces neurochemical cocktail that allows the woman to feel self-confident, oriented in the space, able to connect with others, able to find her voice, because she will have the right level of dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, etc., etc. In the other hand, a woman who is not used to having pleasure, who doesn't orgasm, who doesn't allow herself to enjoy, who is very uptight,
Hmm.
her neurochemistry reflects that as well. And the lack of the right amount of pleasure end up producing in the body things like lower bone density, pH disbalance, anxiety and depression, because there is not the right balance between all this amazing cocktail that we need. I can get much more technical, but it's not really necessary, because what you need to know is when you have the right experiences, your body produces the right chemistry.
Hmm. So, how does a woman start to refine pleasure? Because, like, I'm just picturing this very, rigid mom, wife, owns a business, and like everything is about not her. Like, it is about, like, she's so disconnected from herself because she's just been serving everyone else. So, like, how would you tell her to like start finding her pleasure? I think I have an idea, but I want you to say it.
Well, so what do you want? The slow, long way to get there, or the quick and easy?
Is this a trick? Am I
No, no.
allowed to say quick and easy? Okay, I want quick and easy.
Then you create a pattern interrupt.
Okay.
And to create a pattern interrupt, you need to get out of the context for a long enough time to reset the neurochemistry. This is where retreats
Okay,
come into place.
got it.
You get out of your context. Ideally, you take an airplane. So you like really get out of the context. You change the weather, the temperature, the humidity, the land, you just really shake it. Immerse yourself in the experience of a different pattern for, I mean, ideally, 21 days, but we do what we can. So
Right.
retreats are normal. um, and then when you come back with a new set of practices, but your neurochemistry is being shifted because you have been immersed for 7 days, eating different, sleeping different, breathing different, moving different, especially moving different.
What's the chemistry of 21 days? Why is it ideally 21?
That's what is said in many different places or schools, or I don't know how I should say,
Um,
but um, says that it takes 21 days to shift a habit in the somatic world. It says that it takes 21 days to change the samskara in the Hindu tradition.
okay.
It's the entire cycle of a full moon is 28 days.
Mhm.
Anyways, it's around,
Yeah.
um, and there's patterns that change months to shift, and there's patterns that, the right amount of shock can shift a pattern in a second.
Mm,
We work with what we have, so we do normally 10.
right. So what is the long and slow way?
Introducing practices,
Okay.
daily practice.
What kind of daily practices do you recommend for creativity?
I recommend presence, which is a somatic practice that I have created over the last decade of my work. And I have a very particularly tailored practice for creativity. I have one for focus, one for flow, one for magnetism, and one for grounding.
Okay. So then I guess that leads into kind of my final question of like, how does someone, because this is like, I say this to a lot of people, where it's like, okay, well, we could speak for hours. But I think that understanding somatic therapy in an hour is kind of unrealistic. And I feel like really just kind of scratching the surface of understanding. So, one, what kind of resources, like books, podcasts, like what kind of free resources do you recommend people do to continue their like journey with understanding this? And then the second part of that question would be, how would somebody like work with you to do that?
So, resources. You see, there's books I can recommend you,
Hmm.
but but I will actually recommend you if you want to do one thing to start your journey of shifting your patterns, choose one physical activity. Instead of reading one more book, choose one
Mm.
physical activity.
Oh, I like
Just
what you did there. Okay.
go for the
Makes sense.
practice right away.
Makes sense. Yeah, move your body and say, okay. Um,
The least, sometimes the least we give the mind, the better. Because you can go and complicate it, but the basics of somatic therapy is you are moving, you are working through your body. The Body Keeps the Score is a really good one. Why Zebras Don't Have Ulcers is another really good book.
oh, yeah.
But moving your body is the best resource. I invite you to find my presence masterclass and watch it. It is a 30-minute explanation of somatic therapy and how to access the body the fastest, quickest, more efficient way. And then 30 minutes of a guided movement practice for you to experience that. So I give you the theory and I give you the experience. And it's completely free. You can find it in thefemininerise.com/presence. And you can give your audience the link. My team will give it to you.
Awesome.
And
Start
watch
there.
it and start there. Yeah, start moving. And then through that, you can also join my Presence membership, which is an ongoing community of people who gather twice a month. We have 2 live calls and we talk about somatics. We talk about it's basically life and business coaching for through somatics. We have also a Telegram group where you can ask your questions every day. I need to focus more on my business, or I need more support with flow, or I lose my patience, or how do I? And I give you the answer through the body. I tell you what to do with your body to get there. And then twice a month we practice together, and there's Q and A's and stuff like that. So you can access once you watch the master class. We give you there's a journey that gives you the invitation, and you can always follow me on Instagram and ask questions, watch what I share. We have a few videos of this practice in different festivals, and I'm pretty active on social media. So you can say hi, tell me that you're coming from She's Lays the Way podcast.
Well, thanks. This is incredibly interesting. I do see I see this kind of as, so I feel like me personally, and like keep in mind that I'm probably 20 some years delayed in this process from where you're at, but there's a lot of conversation. I feel like we're starting to see human consciousness over the last, I mean, I really say 5 years, to be honest, become very aware of, like, the need for balance between the feminine and the masculine energy. Like, it's becoming like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, okay, we talk openly about this." We talk there's, like, books about, like, needing, like, soft leadership skills. Like, we're understanding that leadership is a yin and yang, and I really do think that the next level of I don't want to say accepted human consciousness, but like mainstream. That's the word I'm looking for. Like very like mainstream where the human consciousness needs to go. I do think this is it. Like, does that make sense? That like, and I don't, you probably hang out with such a much more open-minded group of people that I don't know if it really makes sense to you what I'm saying. But like just in like I can
Makes
yeah, like I could have
sense.
the corporate CEO of a software company on here and ask them, Tell me how you've incorporated softer skills of leadership to become a better, more well-rounded leader, and they know exactly what I'm talking about. But, like, if I said, like, "Tell me how you incorporate movement and somatic therapy into your," they'd be like, I have no idea what you're saying, and I do think that this is kind of that next level that is inevitably going to be opened up, which is cool.
Yeah.
I just feel really lost and confused. So, I think I'll start with
But
what.
but it's great that you're already having the conversations,
Yeah,
because that's the first step to find our way. When I started teaching feminine leadership 15 years ago, people were like, "Feminine what?
right.
What are you
Mhm,
what does that leadership have to do with gender?" I was like, "Oh
right.
my God, okay, I have to even start explaining that it has nothing to do with gender. It's about the qualities of the energy." And then it was like yin and yang. And
Yep.
so
Yeah.
it's taking us 10 years to get here. It's gonna take us a few years to continue evolving,
Mhm.
but we're already asking the right questions.
Right.
So
I believe that. Well, Layla, thank you so much for your time. I will make sure that we have that link to Presence below, and I will definitely be on the lookout for your retreats and things like that. Are they all 7 to 10 days?
we have one 5 days in October in Ibiza. And I am always open to coming to the States if there is a group of people, like if in your audience there was a group that wanted to do a retreat, wherever you guys are. I'm always open to. I travel a lot and I organize retreats in different communities. So
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Until next week, She Slayers. Bye.